Hey there. Welcome to Looking Out and Up. I'm Penny.
And I'm Les.
So, what's on your mind, honey?
Well, the breakdown of the American family, Penny. Try to think, everywhere you look, it just seems like there are youngsters, young folks without any direction. Families are falling apart. They don't spend any time together. And we try to be, I think we try to, the show is supposed to, as much as possible, offer some sort of solution. And we like simple solutions. We like stuff that's easy. And we can all, it doesn't take money, it doesn't take any kind of fame or any doctorate's degree. Things that you can do to change your family for the better starting today. And we know this, we've watched this, we've implemented this in our own life, and we've kind of got to watch it unfold here lately. We'll get into that maybe a little bit later, about the importance of eating dinner together and spending time around a dinner table together as a family. Not separated out through the home and somebody's in the living room watching a movie, somebody else is on their tablet, um,
Or eating in your bedroom.
eating in bedrooms. Yeah.
That's just nuts.
And I realize that this is something that can't be implemented necessarily all the time, every day. But the more that it happens, or the more that we do it, the more that we eat together, and we're using dinner here as kind of an all-inclusive, it's an all-encompassing thing. Because breakfast is just as important if you can sit down and eat that together. Lunch, when you have the opportunity to sit down and eat lunch together as a family. Dinner being the one that at most families can kind of make that work. They can work that into their day to sit down and have dinner together. So that's kind of where I'm at, and it just seems so simple. It befuddles me how this is not more important to the average family, that people do not think that this is an important thing to work into their day.
No, they're just some food, put it in the stomach, and we're good to go.
Yeah, food is a necessary. It's viewed as though food is just a necessary, almost like evil. We have to do it to survive, but they're not putting any other value in the meal. It's only, well, here we got our three hots on a cot, right? We got our three squares, and you're good to go. It doesn't matter where you're consuming them or how you're consuming them, or just the fact that you're getting them is enough. And you and I have both, we've thought this for years, that one of the largest breakdowns in the family started around the dinner table. Right? This is not something new. This is not something that we just went, oh, we had an epiphany yesterday. We've put this into practice for 35 years, 40 years, 35 years. This has been something that we have practiced.
I think that has to do with how each of us were raised too, because I was raised with mealtime is an important time to sit down. We'd sit down on the floor mats and we'd have all the food laid out, and everybody in the family would gather, and it's time to eat. And
Yeah, and what bothers me about this is, we'll watch travel shows, and we'll agree when somebody says that. I think it was Andrew Zimmern years ago. It was, food is what brings people together. And most people would hear that and they wouldn't raise a single. They would go, "Oh, well, yeah. When you go to a foreign country, it's kind of neat to sit down and eat a traditional meal, or to be invited to a." And this is true because Penny and I have done this on numerous occasions, to be invited in a foreign country to another person's home and to share a meal with them is a huge part of becoming part of that community, and a huge part of being accepted into that community. And to deny a dinner invitation is akin to slapping somebody in the face or kicking them in the crotch. And what befuddles me about this is we can all kind of see that, and we can all kind of acknowledge that, but when somebody says it's as simple as sitting down to eat a meal together, oh, well, that's not going to fix my family issues. Well, it's probably not going to fix all of your family issues, but it's a wonderful place to start, right? So this is something that Penny, it's not that I didn't do this so much with my first wife. It wasn't, the value was not placed on it quite as much, and Penny was the one who kind of brought me back into focus on this when we got together, and our children had to meld together as we had a melting pot. We had
A blended
a
family.
very blended family. Um, Children were different races, and like I say, we've got even more anecdotal or kind of evidence for this to come up in a little while. But to watch how that brought a family of, well, there was seven of us, how that brought all of our children together, and our children still remain tight. Our children still remain friendly and on good speaking terms, and they actually engage with each other on a regular basis. It's something that we're very proud of as parents, and it's something that I'm loving to see that our children are now integrating it into their lives. I don't think that they thought it was that important. Well, our daughter has always thought it was quite important. Now we're watching our sons, and it's coming along for the ride, and we're seeing actual proof in the pudding here. We're actually seeing how this is helping bring a family together. So, do you want to talk about our history and what we did around the dinner table? How this was? I mean, our children all knew that they had to be home at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. Well, I don't remember now what it
Yes.
was, but we ate at the same time every evening. So,
Well, I decided to have dinner at 6 o'clock because as the children grew older, I knew they were at a friend's house or doing whatever they were doing. But I told them, and they knew it, that well, when it's dinner time, 5:30 to 6 o'clock every day, your butt better be home if you want to eat dinner. Because if it's not home at that time, and you come home later, and you think you're going to eat dinner, well, that's not happening. No, it's very because I was raised up as we all sat together and we all ate the same meal together, and it wasn't
Billy gets fish sticks, and Johnny gets pizza.
chicken nuggets, or it wasn't a smorgasbord, it wasn't a buffet, it was whatever mom put together. If she caught a fish or whatever meal she put together.
Well, and you generally cooked from scratch, so these were not. It's very rare that you had a stove. Well, you never had a Stouffer's meal in the house, but it's not like you threw in a frozen lasagna that you bought from the store and put this into the oven and here you all go. This is what you're getting. You put time and effort and affection and thought into meals. I mean, this is,
Yes.
and sometimes they were rushed just because of how life gets. But we've discussed it on a previous episode about how it got to the point where you just don't want to cook when you're angry. Don't cook when you're angry, right? And you brought up then about the power of cooking, the power of being that you are the one in control.
Yes. And yeah, I made most of our meals from scratch, and I made sure to have meat and a vegetable and
Usually rice. We had rice because of it, just your culture. It was rice at every. Rice was available at every meal.
rice is in Asia. Rice is like the American bread.
Yes.
So every meal, yes, we had jasmine rice, not just white rice. It was jasmine rice.
And just so that the viewers realize, my sons are they would be Ashula's stepsons. My sons are white and still eat rice 5, 6, 7 times a week. This is how ingrained this is, and this is kind of what I'm going to get to when we get a little bit off on the woo woo or the metaphysical side of this, where people don't really want to go when they talk about the importance of meals, but we'll do kind of the Hippocratic thing where we say, let food be thy medicine. And if you're trying to heal your family and if you're trying to heal your children, start with a quality dinner and time together. This is kind of what this is all getting to, right? I mean, ultimately, this is important, folks. And what's going to bother people here? I know I'm going to hear this from folks. My children would have made this argument to me 5 years ago. But Dad, the children have football after school, or the children have baseball after school, and this is the problem, that you as a parent have prioritized those extracurricular activities over the value of your children being good people and learning from the dinner table experience. Learning, there's wisdom, there's nuggets. Your mother lived with us for a couple of years and would visit for a month or two at a time, and to sit around the table when grandma is at the table, right? They all had the opportunity to interact with our she had the opportunity to interact with our children, her
Yes,
grandchildren.
and we
And would you say,
opposite of what most people say, you know, children are to be quiet. There's no talking at the dinner table,
yeah,
period. Well, our family
not in our
was
household.
completely opposite because I didn't want the children to remain quiet. No, dinner time was a time to express yourself or to bond with your other family members.
To talk about your day, to talk
Yes.
about what was going on in the world. We had numerous discussions, and our children, we will still hear anecdotes on the regular. Our youngest child now is 31 years old, and we still hear anecdotes from every one of them. And it will be a funny story, or it will be something that they think of, and it's how many of those stories exists or are in existence because they came about around the dinner table.
Yes.
Loads of them from your brother. Our brother also lived with us for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, and him picking his teeth at the table. He was very specific about where his napkin was and where his fork was.
He was a germaphobe.
He was almost, yes, he was borderline. He was almost a Howard Hughes. Yes, he was. He could be very strange about germs. But these are all stories that still live with our children, and in a positive way, and they are passed on to their children. Their children still our grandchildren get to hear these stories to this day about what it was like to live in a house with, sometimes we had as many, there were times we had as many living in the house, we had as many as 9 people living here or staying here. And that was 3 generations under this roof. And I don't think my children would trade the time that they had with their yai, their grandma, your mother, for anything. They all have such fond memories of that time. And my point, I kind of got sidetracked here, but like I say, folks, this is a matter of values. This comes down, and I hate being preachy, but this comes down to is your son being able to play in some football games, or your daughter being on the cheerleading squad, or playing softball, or playing volleyball, or whatever it may be. Is that more important than the family dynamic? Modern society says yes. And we're taking the counter argument that no, it is not. It is not more important. Getting your children involved in something that maybe is one night away from the family. Maybe it's Scouts. Maybe it's RCYF. Maybe it's something else. But something that is requiring your child to be away 2, 3, 4, 5 nights a week to practice for something that ultimately is not that important. I know I'm going to hear from people, oh, the team building experience, oh, the ability to hang out. They can do all of that through scouting, through camping, through hanging out at friends' homes, but we have to make some real decisions. The way that the world is going, we have got to decide. You think about, I bet you can correlate, I haven't done this, but I bet you can correlate the downfall of the American family to the importance that we've placed on the extracurricular activities. How important high school football has become. I mean, it's terrible. And high school football has become so important that now the junior leagues, your little leagues of football, what we grew up knowing as rocket
and it's
football,
taken away from
the family.
the family meal.
It has
the
a price,
family-
folks. What has a front has a back, right? So if you think that sports are important, well, that's saying that the family is less important.
Well, what I would do is I would cook the meal. For example, I would make spaghetti, okay, because a lot of children like spaghetti. But to ensure that the children were getting their vegetables, what I would do is I would cut up the broccoli or
There were green beans in there.
yes,
There were times there was summer squash in there.
and they'd all be in the spaghetti sauce, and the children would eat it all up. They would enjoy it, and but I made it so they would get their all of their nutrients, and after they finished their meal, then they could have dessert. And usually, dessert was a fresh fruit because I'm not a baker. I'm not into all the sweets
The
and
pastries
the
and the
pastries
cakes.
or anything. But the children knew that. But they also knew that when it was time to come sit down, we'd all sit down at our long 6 foot low table.
Had to have that because we weren't squeezing them all
You
around
know,
the
we
small
don't have
dining
we
room
don't
table.
have chairs. We'd sit on floor cushions, and we'd all sit there with the same food in front of us. Everyone had the exact same food, but of course, if it was a new vegetable or something new, I wouldn't give the children a full heaping serving. I would give them small 2 bites of something new to introduce them
And
to
what do
it.
we call those?
Thank you bites.
Thank you bites.
We call them thank you bites, and the children would, what, thank you bites, and Dad would say,
Well, we eat that and we say thank you. That's how we express that we're thankful for the food in front of us. We consume it. And you don't, I mean, I instilled in all of the children that we say thank you for dinner. I still say thank you to Penny every night for dinner. It's important that we're thankful that we realize that somebody spent time and effort, and to not consume. And I'm telling all of you, we've got Penny and I have had this mantra for a lot of years. It's better to keep a friend than keep a diet. So when we show up at somebody's home, it doesn't matter. I don't typically eat shellfish of any sort. I don't like crab. I don't like shrimp. I don't really consume it. I stay away from it. We have been to places, we have been to functions where there is imitation crab on tostadas. We've been in situations like I always eat what is put in front of me and say thank you. It's more important to be thankful than it is to keep any kind of silly diet, whether that be religious or whether that's self-imposed. We consume it and we say thank you. That's a very important aspect of this.
and by us doing that, the serving thank you bites of while we're introducing new foods, the children gradually and until now, our children are pretty much open to eating anything.
You know what? This is really strange because all of our children, their spouses are more picky than they are.
Yes.
All of them. All of them. Our children are not terribly picky eaters at all. There's certain things that they don't like. We're all human beings. We all have things we don't like. Um, as Penny had said, there were certain things she knew that the children didn't necessarily particularly care for. It didn't mean that it didn't get cooked or that it didn't get made for dinner, but they got a small portion of it. And none of this was going to make you sick. None of this was there to make you angry. This was all there to try to provide a complete meal. And we, the metaphysical woo-woo of this is, folks, you sit down at a table at the same time with people that you care about, and you share the same food at the same time of day, and the way that you view the world is even going to somewhat correlate. You're going to start seeing the world somewhat through the same lens. There's less of a divide between this person and that person simply through sharing food. I even attribute this to tribes being as close as what they traditionally were. The same food was being consumed by all of the tribe. The same types of meat, the same types of grains, the same types of vegetables. Mm-hmm. Most places in the world, this shocks people, but most places in the world, there's not that much, traditionally, there's not that much variety in food. We're very spoiled today, and we get kind of off on this tangent that we think we should be able to have a banana whenever we want a banana or an orange whenever we want an orange. But traditionally, people were eating they did not have a very small variety of foods. And it kept people close. It kept their vision somewhat the same, how they interacted with the world, how they viewed the world. It caused less chaos and less disagreement, if you will, especially over minor things. So really, this all comes down to, I mean, we are watching this now. This is where I kind of wanted to go with this discussion. I'm sorry that I'm talking over Penny this whole time, but I'm actually very passionate about this. We've watched this in real time with our son, and he too has a blended family. He has a wonderful woman in his life with two wonderful children, and they have always been respectful. And she certainly did a fantastic job of raising her children and bringing the blended family together. They've gotten together. They've purchased a lovely home, got a beautiful yard, all of that, all those things that everybody kind of aspires to, it seems. But they have watching my son in this instance and the importance that they were going to sit down as a family and enjoy dinner together as a family. It's one of the first things he did when they moved into the home.
They bought that dining table.
Dining room table is a big deal to him. We're buying a dining room table. There's going to be enough chairs for everybody to sit down. We are having dinner every night together whenever possible. We're going to sit down. And to watch the results in his family, to see how the children have become, I mean, they always got along. I don't want to make it sound like that, but to see how the children are becoming truly much more like real siblings. And yes, of course, they squabble still. They have their disagreements, absolutely, because they're brothers and sisters. This is how we figure out society. This is how we learn to deal with people and how we learn to deal with disagreements and issues. But to watch how that has affected their family, has you can see, it's deeply touched Penny. This is a big deal, folks. And it's funny because their children still are engaged in some extracurricular activities. But the importance for dinner is still there, and them sharing dinner, and they do this on the weekends. They do they quote unquote cheat, right? And I don't even consider this cheating. He brought this up the last time we were talking to him. Oh yeah, this past Saturday we had movie night, so we just ordered a pizza. And I said, yeah, but you were all in the same room eating the pizza, watching the movie, and it's not that you want to do this on the regular, but there's nothing wrong with breaking the rules every once in a while. And if you're going to break rules, what a wonderful way to break rules. You still broke the rules, and the entire family was there, still engaged, together. And I don't condone watching movies and stuff when you eat, but of course there's going to be some of this, and there's going to be family fun time, if you will.
Yeah, we did not have when it was mealtime. Everything.
Yeah, there was no television on. There was no.
That was when we had. That was when we had a television in the home.
Mhm.
But everything went off. We didn't even answer the telephone when the landline would ring off.
It's so ingrained in my family. My sister and my brother, that if they call and I answer the phone and I tell them that I'm eating dinner, oh well, I will call you back, or call me back when you're done eating dinner. Sorry to bother you. Get back to dinner. They knew how important this was to us, and my brother and sister were both kind of raised the same way. I did grow up eating dinner together as a family, at least to a certain point. And I did watch as, little by little, we started to gravitate off into our own areas, right? We started going into the living room to eat while television was on. And this happened more when I was in my mid-teens or early teens. But folks, if you want to fix, if you are having family issues, if you're having problems with your children, the number one thing that's probably I'll just say it, the number one thing that's probably going on is that they don't feel like you're paying attention to them. They're acting out, plain and simple, and they don't share any vision with you at all. They don't see the world through your lens at all. Well, how can we start to fix that? Well, we sit down, we share a meal, and like Penny said, do not prepare something different for the children. And you might have to start off by serving some chicken McNugget or chicken nuggets or whatever to start this whole thing. But slowly and surely move towards real meals. Slowly but surely work towards having a vegetable. And meat is here nor there to me. I can go with or without it. But real wholesome meals, stuff that you are preparing. If it's going to help, get your husband in the kitchen with you to help you out. If you're worn out, or husband, get your wife in the kitchen to help out. Get one of the older children to come into the kitchen.
It gets the children to help out. It gets them involved. Even cleanup. After they eat, they're learning. They learn that once they eat, no matter how old they were, they had to pick up.
And one of them was going to do the dishes, or at least assist them doing the dishes when this was all done. That was a rotating thing in the house. Our children actually used dish time as like a bargaining chip, right? So if they needed something done, if they wanted to go do something, but they needed their chore, they would volunteer. The dishes were like the worst thing for them. So they hated it, so they did not want to do the dishes, so they used it as a bargaining chip amongst each other. To You would hear one of them say, "I'll do your dishes for you Thursday if I can do X, Y, and Z, so I can go to the game on Friday night, or so I can." We used to watch this in real time and chuckle about it because it was actually a wonderful bargaining chip. And if you didn't mind doing dishes, you could make out like a bandit in this
Well,
household.
it taught them how to work together as a family, how to negotiate. It taught them how to speak to each other. When we were sitting down around the table, we would talk, and I would specifically ask the children, tell me one thing today that just lit you up, or that you thought was really interesting.
Yeah, and one of your famous lines for a couple of years when the children were when we first kind of moved in and the children were getting to know each other, your first basic one I think was, "What did you learn today?" When they would come home from school, when they would be here, what did you learn today at school? What did you come away with? And the sad part about this is usually they had to struggle to come up with something. That's how bad. Well, this is a story for another day, but that's how bad public schools were already back then. And our children got. We were in a wonderful school district here. We have supposedly great teachers, and we have a very fancy school, but to hear that the children day to day they had to kind of struggle to come up with what it was that they learned.
Well, then
that
we it changed to share something today that made you happy at school. It was to initiate conversation amongst the family. That was my goal. So I would start asking these questions, and it was no more of, what one thing did you learn in school? No, there was no more of that. It was.
And the other thing is the other thing that's kind of important here. Penny is right. Eventually, you don't have to ask anything. The children are all going to talk about what went on in their day, and here's sometimes I'm sure as a parent you're going to have to draw the line about too much negative speak at the table. We don't want negativity surrounding our family meal, but it is a time to get some stuff off your chest. But it's get it off your chest and move on and look towards something brighter and happier to talk about or to discuss. And we were lucky. We had jokers in the family. We had people who, our oldest son could almost always lighten a mood. Our youngest son can actually quite lighten a mood. He can say some very funny things that just kind of break people's pattern or their beat. And we were very fortunate we had children. Our children were capable of doing things like that, and they helped each other out. But to watch how it shaped our family, a blended family, and children coming from quite different backgrounds to be as tight-knit as what they are to this day, and to watch it in real time right now, taking place a second time, I just implore with people out there, do not undersell the importance of sitting around a table. Something else and neither Penny nor I were what you would consider traditionally religious, but we would give thanks. I made it kind of a big deal. It was always a short prayer, but we thanked a great being, whatever is out there, whatever has brought us all here. We thanked him for what we had in front of us, and that we had each other, and that we had our parents and our grandparents. These are very important things, and instill these in your family. Get these types of values working in your family. If your children, you might not be having issues with your children. You might be very fortunate that your children respect and respond to you, and you don't really seem to have any issues. But folks, there is a societal breakdown going on in this country. There are people who have no concern for other people. This is rampant. This is beyond an epidemic. And the idea of this show or of this podcast is to offer solutions. And I know, like I said it earlier, you're going to scoff at it. It can't be this simple. Is it going to fix all the world's problems? No. Is it giving us a step in the right direction? And it's so simple. Please stop with all the extracurricular activities. Bring your family back home. Sit down, have meals together, share thoughts, share experiences, share stories. This is a huge part of culture, if you will. and don't undersell it. Value it for what it is. Those times will slip by. Now Penny and I sit around the table most nights together, just the two of us. Nothing wrong with that, and we share experiences and talk yet. But boy, we both would tell you how much we miss the laughing and the cackling children around the table talking to us about their day or silly things that happened, and we Penny is right, almost nothing we didn't really nothing was no pun intended off the table. The children could pretty much speak about anything that they wanted to speak of. We just didn't want things to get too negative or to get off track
You
in
know
that direction. What, Penny?
maybe that's why when they knew there was nothing that was off the table, maybe that's why we're close with them. We have a close relationship with our children.
Could be. You know, we didn't raise any valedictorians in this house. Well, I'm just saying, we had children who were smart enough to do it. It's not that. I'm just saying, there's always that story of that child, that young person who is really good in school, really respectful of everybody. And yes, those children are out there. These are the same children that a teacher wouldn't have to get up and teach class, and they would still pass the class. They would still get A's. Those children are out there. Those young people are out there. But that's not for the vast majority of us. That's not. We certainly had issues with our children. Our children were not perfect, but to this day, our children are good folks with good hearts. That they have lovely families and they're doing wonderfully in life. So
what do we want to?
well, the takeaway has been we've been browbeating you with it, folks. Really, I just implore you to reassess what's important in your children's lives. And is being on the track team or on the football team or on the basketball team more important than family?
In the family meal.
Because that's what you're saying. When they're skipping the meals, they're not they're not engaging with the family. They have a free pass not to be there and to share the family meal. It's we have to. You can't want things to change and then say that something as simple as eating dinner is a bridge too far. So, thanks for listening to our rant, where the old folks rant.
So we'll talk to you soon.